Are we live? Are we live? Hey, it's not Friday, it's Wednesday, and this is the Mike Myers Ask Mike Anything. Ask me anything, ask Mike anything. And I am not your worthy host, Mike Myers. Uh, as some of you may know, Mike made an announcement on his Monday show 2 days ago that he wouldn't be available to do today's show. He had a loss in the family, and he and the family are getting together to do what they need to do. So, uh, it came down to Scott and Scott and I said, well, sure, we'll be glad to cover for you. And then the pollen hit Houston, and oh my goodness, did it hit. So, excuse me, see, there you go. Uh, Scott sounds like Barry White right now, which is a really great thing to do. I love when I get that Barry White voice sound. And I get in the recording studio right away and record "Don't Hurt the Snakes." But it's just not pleasant on him. He looks like he sounds like Barry White. So he's decided to work the back channel right now. He is alive and healthy and working, but he is seriously suffering pollen. I too am suffering some pollen effects, and I may do that a few times, and I may have to pause and blank the screen and uh, mute the mic for just a second or two while I clear up the rest of the impact of this thing. But okay, enough about me. How about you? What do you think of me? Now, this is Mike's AMA. We get together Monday and Wednesday, he does, for a couple hours starting at 2 o'clock Central Time, Central Daylight Time, I think we're in right now, to continue our studies for those of us who are locked down as a result of the current pandemic situation. Our bailiwick is CompTIA type questions, A plus, Net plus, Security plus, ITF plus, and any of the other offshoot ones. We've got some courses in them that, while we don't shoot personally, they're done in our studios and with the experts that we bring in. Most of the time, they are old friends with expertise from Mike. Excuse me. Uh, yeah, I think in fact that's, to my knowledge, that's all of our guest presenters. Mike has known all of them for a long, long, long time. And we learn from those guys. Mike already knows a lot about that stuff. So do myself and Scott and Michael Myers. And yeah, Mike Myers, Michael Smyer. There we go. I haven't worked here for 10 years. You'd think I know a couple of names by now. So this is an Ask Mike Anything today, or in the case of today, Ask Dave Anything. Uh, and that means you get to post your questions, your comments to the YouTube chat. And if you're not comfortable with that or happy with that, you've got a long question, you're shy, you can use the alternative. I didn't have this page all up and ready to go. There it is. By sending us an email, and we will communicate with you that way, or we can take your question and present it at the next AMA or at the drama that we do on Friday. So if you want to get in contact with me for some odd reason, you're welcome to do so. I am Dave R at totalsem.com because I am Dave Rush. Scott, who's working the back channel right now and working the YouTube feed, you can communicate with him, by the way, directly on the YouTube feed. But if you want to send him an email, he's Scott Jernigan. So you catch him at scottj at totalsem.com. And of course, the big man himself, he'll be back online in a couple of days, certainly by Monday, I would think. And you can catch him at Michael M at totalsem.com because he's Michael Myers. Hey, we're all gamers. My gaming machine is useless right now, but I do poke on and off just for checking with friends and things like that. So you can catch me at Blood Rush TX. Scott, you can find him as Scarheart. And Mike is Senor Pepe. I don't expect to see him gaming in the next couple of days. For any other way of contacting Mike, if you know of some communications channel that you think Mike would be on, some of his other email providers, he uses the term DesWEDs. It's a kinetic acronym. If you try and type it out with the fingers of your left hand, you'll find that you don't have to move your hand in the slightest. You can just type in DesWEDs, and he's been using that for decades. And so there you go. You can also catch us all on LinkedIn. Say hi to us on LinkedIn. We want to be your friend, be ours, or be your link. So let's see who's joined the crowd. I got to change my screens. That changed everything up. Do this, do this. There we go. And that wasn't too long. I should be able to catch everything. Tullowit, first one in at 10 till the hour. Alan Duggan's here. Jimmy Milligan's here. Good evening, Hugh. Jimmy, afternoon for us. And it's raining here in Houston, Texas. Hello, Maven. Good to see you, sir. Red 5, standing by. William Jesky. Right. Mike's at his service, so he can't make it. And hello, Deepak. And no, that was Nigel I'm thinking of. I get you guys confused sometimes, not because your names are confusing, but you have the same kind of avatar, the circle with the letter in it in the same color. Denang, is there a website for Mike Meyers CompTIA A+ 1001 and 100 practice exam questions? Yes, there is, Denang. Glad you said that. It's totalsem.com. So that's simple enough. And while I was going to hold this off till later, since you're here now, I will put this up. We have regular specials that we offer only to the folks who participate in our AMAs. And this week's special, Scott's going to put it up on the chat. I'm going to put it up on a sign right now and tell you about it. These are good for a week. We change them out every week or so. So AMA special deal for this week, 50% off all CompTIA Total Tester bundles. So those aren't just a practice test. They've got practice tests and associated sims and associated videos. So we've got the whole 1001 bundle, 1002 bundle. It's both 1001 and 2, and the test and the practice sims. Sorry, one more time here. The A+ practice test cover both of the courses, 1001 and 1002. We have A+, what we call total sims. Those are practice, performance-based questions. Some of them are testy type questions. Some of them are teachy type questions. Some of them are little vignettes that we shot to teach a concept. They're very complete. It's a lot of fun. We also have the whole video package. So this code applies only to the bundle. It's good through this Sunday, March 28th, through the end of the day. I don't know what time. Don't ask. Just do it before Sunday, and you don't have to worry about it. To get the 50% discount, you go to totalsem.com, you load up your shopping cart, and then when you check out, use this code STAMP1765. The Stamp Act was issued in 1765 by the lovely folks across the pond, and that made some of the locals upset, and it was a good historical memory. So Stamp 1765 to get 50% off all CompTIA Total Tester bundles at totalsem.com. I'm glad you asked. Thanks. It, got something off my plate for later. Ask Dave anything. Ask somebody anything. Yeah, there's no cats here. Sorry, no Spewy. I'll go borrow a neighbor cat. Greetings, Patricia Grace. Long time since we've seen you at the very beginning. Nice. Majdi Daifa, good afternoon. Majdi, where are you at? What country? I have been all over the Middle East. I lived for a couple of years in Saudi. So good chance I've been near you at least. And I see another Middle Eastern name sliding by there. My system super scroll, just like Mike does. It holds pace. I roll it up and down for a little bit, and then it goes, and I have to go back and find out where I was. I have a question about this rash. Good Lord. Are we starting this early? Tullowit. Thank you for the sound quality. Yeah, I had to get online with Scott in advance because I don't do that mic thing. That terrifies me, to get on and say, can you hear me? And wait for some feedback coming from the YouTube channel, which you never know how long it's going to take. So I do that way in advance. You know me, former pilot, checklist. Okay. Reading messages. Greeting, Andre. Yeah. Some countries are here on heavy lockdown again lately. So sorry to hear that. You know, I guess the governments feel that they have to do what they have to do to help their population, control whatever word you want to use there. So, you know, do what you believe is is safe. Christina Reyes, I'm new to this. What is the OSI model? Well, okay. First of all, welcome, Christine. Christian, I'm sorry, not Christine. Fuzzy screen. So first of all, welcome to Mike Meyers AMA. He gets together a couple of days a week, answers questions, does feature presentations, interacts with everybody, and answers questions like the one that you have posted. What is the OSI model? So, okay, the OSI model was an attempt in the 1970s to categorize the functions or steps of networking. Prior to that, there were proprietary solutions. IBM made a mainframe and terminal and printer and storage solution, and you couldn't even buy it from them. You had to lease it. And then they had competitors. They had DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation. Excuse my itchy nose. I got Mike Meyers syndrome. Where the heck is all that coming from? There. And Burroughs and PDP and Honeywell and all these folks making computers. And they were doing that in older 50s and 60s, less of what we call computers today than they were. But, well, okay, so here comes the problem. Customer goes to IBM and says, I need that solution and I need it to do this other thing that Burroughs does. And IBM might say, well, yeah, we can do that, but it's going to take us a couple of years to engineer and integrate. Oh, no, we need it now. And so they go to Burroughs. Can you do the stuff that IBM does? Well, not that stuff. So other companies started stepping in and making products, software and hardware to join, to network those disparate systems. Well, this was starting to happen all over the place in the early 70s. So in steps this big organization called ISO, the International Standards Organization. And ISO said, we will take this disorganized miasma of technologies and try to find a way to standardize it so that in future, vendors can build modular products that will help networking happen. And so they studied networking from all these different perspectives, and they said, we think the process of networking can be broken down into 7 essential categories. And we'll define the characteristics of those categories. And if this gets adopted, then a vendor could create a product that fits into one of those steps and wouldn't care what happens in the step above it or what happens in the step below it. It would simply work. It would interface. And so those 7 steps were codified as the OSI model, the Open Systems Interconnect model. ISO defines OSI. And so these 7 steps started out with, there's got to be a physical layer. There's got to be a way for us to wire a connection between this box and that box. So that wiring, that specification includes wiring and voltage levels and speeds and shape of pulses and connector geometry, how many pins and what does each pin mean and things like that. So there's our physical layer. And then up in the next layer, they said, well, this is a data link layer, which actually they later broke up into 2 other sub layers. But data link layer, if we leave the subdivision out, says this is the part where we define the rules of how the networking communication is going to work. When is a station allowed to transmit? When it transmits, how big of a message can it send? And there's also a piece in that data link layer that says this is how hardware will identify itself from one device to another. Some systems had 8 bits, and some were turned on and some were turned off. You used switches. So there were theoretically 256 possible connections on that network, and then you ran out of connections. Later on, they developed systems that had numbers, 48 numbers typically, burned into a chip, and they were all unique. You can never have the same numbers manufactured by a same network interface card, even from different vendors, because this became standardized. Sorry, getting a message. Okay. But that's one that I don't have to read. I got to make a change here. Stand by for just a second. Not that one. Okay. Now I can see all the back channels and all the front channels and the end. Okay, so physical, data link, then networking. Networking says, here's how we're going to define packet structures and logical addressing structures. I'm not going to do a whole thing here. I could do this for 2 days and probably longer. And then above that, we had transport layer. Transport layer simply says, are we going to shoot data out and not care if it gets delivered? We'll just shoot it out and take advantage of the fact that we believe our networking systems are very reliable. In the TCP/IP world, we call that UDP, User Datagram Protocol, where a program just shoots out data, goes down to the network layer, gets a network address, goes down to the data link layer, gets a physical address, what we call a MAC address, and then that watches the physical layer to find out when it's allowed to transmit, and then when it's allowed, it sends the information down to physical layer, and that puts it out onto the cabling system. Back here up at the transport layer now, we call this layer 4, right? We got physical, data link, network, and transport. Sometimes we'll say we're not comfortable with the reliability of a network. So at the transport layer, we're going to add information that says we'll send out data, but we're not going to send out any more data until somebody sends back an acknowledgement and the transport layer receives that. Then he's going to release some more data. Up above that, we have what's called the session layer. And it's the session layer doesn't exist in practicality anymore. In fact, it never really did. It was just a theoretical concept in the OSI model from ISO. But session layer says it's responsible for contacting recipients and building what they call connections and sessions. Above that, we have presentation. Presentation layer is the only layer by definition that's allowed to manipulate data. So technically, that's where encryption happens. That's where translation happens. And when we say translation, we tend to talk about, not English to Spanish, but from the way Burroughs does bits and bytes to the way IBM did bits and bytes. They used to be different back then. And then finally up at the top, we have application layer. These are either network applications, pure network applications that were designed to work with a network, or they are tools that allow programs that weren't designed to work with a network environment to work with a network environment. So for instance, you have the copy command. Let's say we build a little interface up here presentation that says, I understand copy. If you add some more terms to it, like the source host and destination host of some network things, then this application, this normally local application, can be used in a network sense. So we put those 7 layers together, and that's the OSI model. If you're studying Network Plus, you have to memorize those in order. You got to know what comes between which is layer 4, which is layer 1, and so forth. So I'm going to give you real quick 4 of the most common mnemonics that people use to remember these. The oldest and most classic probably, please do not throw sausage pizza away. There's another one in the classics that I totally forgot now. Because it's so classic, it'll come to me or somebody will put it up online. Couple that I've always liked. People don't need to see Paul Anka. If you're as old as me and you remember who Paul Anka. If you're a little younger, people don't need to see Paula Abdul. Or find your own person whose initials are PA. And then there's a long story behind this one, and I'm not going to kill it because we've already got a lot of questions queued up. But somebody invented this one time in a class I was teaching. I told it to my wife, and it has actually hit me by strangers, somewhat semi-strangers in a restaurant. Here we go. Poor Dave needs to seek psychoanalysis. Or if you have a friend whose name is Dennis or Denise. Okay, long answer to a very short question. I hope that helped, Christian. Tight, boring, no fun at all. Yeah, I'm sorry, Andre. We feel bad. Ahmed Eid, what is the subject of this live, please? So today we don't have a feature-focused subject. If it's going to be Scott and I, we were going to talk about peripherals and components used in gaming systems. He has much more expertise there, and his voice just isn't up to us. We're not going to do that. So in general, all I'm going to do here is take questions, and if there's a question that requires a bit of a presentation answer, thank you, Scott. Scott just posted at the current time stamp. I'm behind by 15 minutes, but he just posted some OSI links for further study. And thank you very much. Can't wait to get vaccinated. Well, you do it at home, man. You know, find a friend of yours who just recovered from COVID, extract plasma. General questions and answers about CompTIA. Sure. Brad Taylor, I see no rain in the med center. It's been just lightly spritzing up here. We got hammered last night, apparently. I woke up, outside was totally soaked. The missus said, "Did you hear the thunder last night?" I said, "I was probably snoring up a storm with this pollen attack." Man, I have really brightened up on the right side. Let me see if this helps. I'll probably just wash out my whole face. It'll look terrible. Let's just turn that off. I don't think that's any help at all. Brad down at Med Center. Man, when we open up again, Brad, and all of the other folks who get together nearby, we'd love to arrange some kind of get together somewhere. Maybe get together at the aquarium or something. Laugh at the penguins and talk about networking. William Jeske from I Hope, chapter 3. You're going to make me dig up the book. I got a lot of the company books here at the house. I do not have an ITF book. Every chance the wonderful author of the ITF book, Scott Jernigan, who's here with us, probably has one in his presence, and he's probably already looked up this question and generated an answer for you. But let's read this up here. Oh, you know what? I saw an answer that he posted earlier in my back channel. So if he hasn't posted this in text, I will read what he's written. So from ITF Plus, Chapter 3, regarding capacitive and resistive touchscreens. Why would a phone or tablet maker choose one over the other? Might one prevail in the market? So Scott says almost everything is capacitive today in the tablet and phone world. Certainly true. A lot of better options. Resistive is cheaper. It's now pretty much gone. Yeah, it's pretty much gone, but I know of several markets where it's still strong. In fact, you can even see right now an advertisement for one of the big PC products. I think it might be the Surface, or maybe it's an IBM touch tablet, where you can certainly use capacitive, but it comes with, which I believe it's capacitive. I don't know that it's resistive, but if you get a device and it comes with a pen, a stylus, there's a chance that you can use your finger, but the problem is that it's not very pinpoint tight. And so we use these styli in order to get very tight focused. And almost always when you have a resistive screen, I have a pile of resistive screens around here that I use on Raspberry Pis that are almost exclusively run with a stylus. But modern technology, every phone out there that I know of, and almost every tablet, e-reader, stuff like that, those are all capacitive. I would agree with Scott on that. Hey, my pleasure, Danang. Majdi is in Nebraska. Okay. I suppose that I should be embarrassed, but I'm not. Okay. It was a Middle Eastern name. And you're right. I have met a tremendous number of Majdis who live in Nebraska. All right. I apologize if I came across offensive. I certainly was not intended to be so. By the way, is there an advantage to buying a DOSIS 3.1 modem if your plan is only 100 megabit down? No. I don't know what the top speed of each DOSIS rev is. DOSIS, for anybody who isn't aware, is the cable modem standard. And we've been through a number of revs. And frankly, I don't know the difference between 3 and 3.1. And as I say, I don't know the difference. So I will take that as a research project and answer that on my Friday drama show. Notepad right here. We don't need that. And I'll find an answer for you. And if anybody knows, how much does channel bonding on your modem affect your actual speed? Okay, you're throwing me a little bit there, Tullowit. This is at 2:10 timestamp. If you're not watching with timestamps or with live chat, if you're running top chat, you're probably missing some posted questions. And if you select show timestamps, and I'm smart enough to remember to call out the timestamps, you'll know where I am in the feed here. So channel bonding on a modem. Channel bonding is something that is done on a switch. So you have a gigabit switch, let's say a pair of them, which is more useful. And so what you do is you internally go in there and say, I want to split the traffic or combine the traffic more accurately on these 2 ports, these 3 ports, these 4 ports. And you do that to the same number of ports on another switch. And that will create one heck of a pipeline instead of a single 1 gigabit pipeline back and forth. You could be moving data at 4 gigabits per second through that pipeline. This can also be done, with multiple network interface cards inside your computer. You'll need NIC teaming drivers, NIC bonding drivers, same thing. But once they're bonded and you can send them to multiple ports on your switch, you get the aggregate throughput of that. But since modems only have one, well, there's switch ports on modems. So you got to go into the cable modem and see if they are bondable. And of course, if you're running gigabit in-house and you got a 100 megabit plan, seems kind of silly to do bonding, which I think may have been your point, but I did want to talk about bonding for a second. So we covered a couple of horses there. Andre, can you use a SOHO router as a WAP, or will the integrated firewall cause problems? Will you be able to get IP addresses from the upstream? That's part and parcel of the way things are done here in the US, especially if you're using a cable modem provider. Only optimum. Okay. Message from Michael Smyer, who's paying attention. So kudos. Thank you, Michael. Michael says channel bonding doesn't increase throughput at all, only optimizes for multiple data streams. Bonded channels don't double speed for a single stream. Okay. I will take that as a matter of faith. I do not have sufficient experience with bonding, and I know he has done NIC bonding with some of the equipment at our office before COVID threw us out. Okay, so Andre, the usual way we do things around these parts, and hopefully in a large part of the world, is you get some kind of box from your ISP, and there's basically 2 kinds of box. One of them is what everybody calls a modem, a cable modem or a DSL modem or whatever. And all that thing really does is converts from the type of wiring that your ISP provides, cable, DSL line, satellite line, whatever, into an Ethernet connection. And from there, you plug into a SOHO router. And the usual SOHO routers that you buy all have a built-in wireless access port, a WAP. Now, some ISPs provide a box modem that has a built-in WAP. So it basically does the same thing that Scott and I and Mike and Michael and 99% of the people at Total Seminars do, and 99% of the people that we know who use AT&T Fiber or Comcast Infinity, Xfinity, what do they call that? Cable services. While I'm running 2 boxes and everybody else is running 2 boxes, all they did is take those 2 boxes and push them together into one box. There's upsides and downsides to that. Mike was forced into getting a single integrated box, and he could not do some of the configurations in his box that he wanted to do that the usual SOHO routers can do. And so he issued a configuration command there to turn his super integrated, all powerful AT&T box into a dumb translator box. And then he uses his standard SOHO router with a built-in WAP. So let me see if I read that right and answered it right. Can you use a SOHO router as a WAP? So yes, if it comes with a built-in WAP. Or will the integrated firewall cause problems? No, the integrated firewalls on SOHO routers are usually almost totally wide open. You typically have to unblock or block things that you want, or they're exactly the opposite. They block everything, and you can simply open up what you need. My SOHO router that I've been playing with every day as part of an ongoing drama project automatically blocks port 80 and port 443 inbound. In fact, it blocks every inbound port, but those ones in particular because there's a built-in port 80 service on my SOHO router and a built-in 443, and those are what we use to get to the management control program. So we don't want somebody from the outside finding my public IP address and going to Dave's public IP address :80 and finding themselves at the management console or the login interface or something like that. Yes, they get addresses from the upstream router. You can either set them statically, you can set up a DHCP client on the ISP side. So yeah, they're totally flexible. Now, some places in other parts of the world have a different standard in the way they do things, and I can't speak for what's going on in the Netherlands, and I apologize for that. If you buy them, man, don't make me beat up on small things. If you buy a modem with 24x8, will it have speed improvements on a 100 megabit internet service over an 8x4 modem? Okay, 24x8 and 8x4 are the uplink and downlinks. Will it have speed improvement on 100? Sure. 24. If that's 2400 by 8, 2400 up and 800 down. Yeah, if it's 24 megabits up and 8 megabits down, other way around, 24 down and 8 up, 100 megabit internet service. Your internet service is a function of your modem. If you pay for 100 megabits per second, but you buy your own third-party modem that only supports 24 megabit down, you're only going to get 24 megabit down. I have never heard of such a box that slow since 1987, but I don't think I'm being much help for you, but I'm a little confused by the question, Tolowit. So if I haven't answered it, rephrase. Andre, nice. I'll be looking into that tomorrow. We had some trouble getting to work at the range. Oh yeah, you working on that fun project ever since. AWS or Azure? Simple answer. I scrolled. Hang on. Let me get caught up. There it is. What do you want to do? Are you looking for a particular job that calls for particular expertise in one or the other? In that case, that's your answer. You want somebody who wants a Microsoft Azure guru, learn Azure. If you want somebody, if you're looking for a particular job where they want somebody who's got expertise or knowledge or experience or whatever in AWS, then AWS. If you don't have one in mind and you're just looking to broaden your horizons, of the two, for the moment at least, AWS is head and shoulders as far as installed bases and job opportunities above Azure. Or let's pretend Mike is here. Azure. He calls it Azure. That's it. Oh, goodness. People throw out these acronyms and, check out the color of the beard. People my age do not know what PDNTSPA stands for. And I could sidetrack and go open up a tab and look it up. but fill me in if I need to know. Chat's weird today. Are you saying what I'm doing with it, how I'm answering questions, or is it reacting funny for you? Mine's reacting normal. David's and Tara, all people seem to need data processing. Thank you very much. The other classic. Goodness. Ugh. And that is absolutely the best one in the world, because a good mnemonic is memorable and it's related to the thing that it stands for. We have an online class that we teach online. It's a pre-written class. People read the lessons and then they interact with the moderator, me usually, to ask for more detail and clarification and stuff like that. And in our Network Plus class, one of the first exercise is make up your own mnemonic. And there's some really brilliant stuff that comes out of there. And then there's stuff where people just, oh, PDNT-SPA. Okay, sorry, I know what that is. People just make up words that start with those letters. People, deer, nitrogen, something, spaghetti, pasta, algorithm. Okay, if you can remember it, then fine. It's a good mnemonic. Oh, I knew somebody would follow up the 4-layer model. All right, I'm going to do a couple seconds on 4-layer model because I'm running into a lot of pushback on it, because somebody said the 4-layer model, which is a TCP/IP model, isn't good enough. It should be 5 layers. And Cisco promulgates this thing. And so when CompTIA asks about OSI and the TCP/IP 4-layer model, and people come onto our other moderated forums and, what about the Cisco 5-layer model? Fine, but CompTIA is not going to ask you about it. So I don't care. The 4-layer model, I will not get the names right in this. I haven't reviewed TCP/IP model, but it's the same 7 layers, except a couple of them are combined. So in OSI, the top 3 layers, 6, 7, and 8, 5, 6, and 7, session, presentation, and application are combined in the TCP/IP model into application. And then layer 4 in TCP/IP is transport. I think it's the same name in TCP/IP model. Does the same job. Network layer in the OSI model, layer 3 is internet work or internet working in the TCP/IP model, and 1 and 2 in the OSI model, physical and data link, are a single layer in the TCP/IP model. And I think I'm really pulling this out of a hat, is physical access or network access. Yeah, I'm thinking network access. Somebody can look that up for me and correct me if I'm wrong. I often am. But the 4 layers and their equivalents to the OSI model are correct. I am very confident. Fraser Davis, I want to apply for a job, but they say I need MCSA. I'm currently taking my CompTIA A+. Will this be included, or do I need to take some more courses? Well, MCSA is a Microsoft certification, not a CompTIA certification. And CompTIA has very few Microsoft-specific certifications. Server Plus is one of them, but I don't think there's anything that's the equivalent to MCSA. So if this is the job that you've got to have, and they say you've got to have this, do 2 things. First of all, apply. Let them know, I don't have MCSA yet, but I will get it. Hire me while I'm studying it, or hire me on the promise that I'm hired and I can actually take the position when I pass the cert. And the other possibility is, if you can't do that, or if you're going to get thrown out, no, do it. I'm sorry, there's no if on that one. Apply. And then if in the long term it's something that's going to be needed, start studying that too, in addition to A+. They're very different skill sets and they're very complementary. So I encourage you, if you're going to be in a Microsoft support arena, you should speak A+, and you should speak MCSA. Anyone, says Patricia Grace at 222. And if anybody remembers the Darby Dawn reference, 222, kudos to you. Patricia Grace, anyone experience MS Word not printing text, only images? Seriously, what in the world? Okay, usual reasons for something like that. Number one, mismatched driver. Drivers have been updated frequently, especially if you've got an old printer. You may have to find older drivers. Number two, configuration change. Perhaps you have switched configurations, and again, mostly driver oriented here, to a PDF driver when the computer doesn't, the printer doesn't support PDF, or vice versa. A non-PDF driver on a PDF printer can print only text. That's no guarantee. It might not. Change of settings on the printer. And of course, the usual reboot applies. Now, Microsoft has just released a major update to Win 10, and there were problems with printing. They've issued patches in the last couple of weeks. Most of the problems were blue screens, actually. If you try and print something, it blue screens, but there's always that chance. So make sure you get the appropriate patches. I don't have anything more than that offhand without looking at all the config info. Did you put the connector in upside down? Are all the tires fully inflated? What's the difference between jacks and ports? Port is a generic term. It can mean the plug part, or it can mean the socket part. Jacks tend to mean the socket port. Jacks and plugs. That's the usual vernacular breakdown. Tarun Chada, haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Good to see you back. Hello there. I learned so much from Total Seminars A+, Net Plus, and Sec Plus courses. That's right. You got the trifecta. Got a job in security compliance. That's what we're shooting for, right? It's not about getting certifications. It's about getting employment, and good employment. So super congratulations. You are most welcome. We did our part, and more importantly, you did your part. You put the time, you put the study, you put the effort into it. So kudos for you. Styli, thanks, man. I think it's the right word. Frank is talking to Patricia. Scott Jernigan. No, Dave is doing dosis. It's pronounced dosis. It's not doxis, Scott. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Scott, Mike sometimes calls it doxis, and one or two of our grammarians freaks out about that. Channel bonding is when a cable modem combines multiple channels to increase the amount of traffic that can be comfortably supported. Okay. That jives with what Michael's saying. Doesn't improve speed, it improves quantity of traffic, which I would argue is a speed issue, because I'm moving more data per unit time than a non-bonded system. Okay, Frank and Patricia, troubleshooting. I will leave that to y'all. Tarun, why internet through cable network never took off in some countries like India? Not a clue. Not knowing how cable companies work in other countries as far as regulation go and infrastructure and things like that. I don't know. I know that in Eastern countries in which I have lived and worked, there's a heck of a lot more satellite activity going on than infrastructure cable going on. So that may be part of it. It doesn't have the scope of market, but that's pure guesswork on my part. Michael is lost in Coderland right now. Yeah, DSL is much more popular in many places because much of the infrastructure is already in place. There's interesting challenges to it. And there you go. Scott agrees with me. Infrastructure differences. The channel bindings. I don't. Oh, yeah, I see. Okay. Sorry, that's yeah. I'm not going to follow up on that, but you're right. There are multiple channels in a dosis modem to achieve throughput. Okay, should I use the WAN, Andre, should I use the WAN port of the SOHO router or one of the LAN ports to use it as a WAP. Remember, a WAP is a wireless access point. So I'm missing a key component here. The WAN port of a SOHO router should go to the Ethernet port of the box provided by your ISP. And then the SOHO router should have a built-in WAP. Now, if you're talking about a dedicated WAP, then yeah, you hook the WAP into one of the switch ports, one of the local ports, and then again, you hook the WAP, the wide area network port to whatever service, however your ISP is providing to you. Cisco CyberOps or CompTIA CISA. What do you want to do? It's real simple. CISA is generic. It's more broad ranging. So if you're not looking to work in a fairly Cisco focused environment, then CISA. If you got your eyes set on a particular position and you know it's an all Cisco support job, Cisco CyberOps. Red Taylor, yeah, great. Somebody threw out the idea on Mike's Monday show about Total SEM hosting a conference or a get together or an expo kind of thing, and that totally intrigued me. I threw a post up on our back channel and planted a seed. We'll see where that goes. That might be interesting. I am just totally enamored with the idea. I'm passing time mark 2:35. I'm only 10 minutes behind, which is just fine for here. Andre's asking if a SOHO router can be used as a simple WAP. I said yes, but you got to turn a bunch of stuff off. Yeah, if you just want to make it a pure WAP, sure. But there's a whole bunch of features that are on already, right? You got the DHCP server on. It may have a built-in Samba server. It's got built-in firewalls and all kinds of other built-ins that, you know, if you want a WAP, buy a WAP. Get one from Ubiquiti if you want to spend, you know, the top money on a top product. I can't think offhand of any other dedicated WAPs that are designed for residential use. I know a lot of them for enterprise use, but you know, we use a Ubiquiti. So we have a traditional ISP modem, cable modem, and then we have that hooked up to, I think, one, but possibly two Ubiquiti WAPs that are just WAPs, and the WAPs plug into regular switch ports, either multiple switch ports on a switch, and then one of those switch ports goes to the LAN side of the cable modem, or if we've only got one or two, we could do that. Now we still need to get that's the way to do it. Let's just go that. Am I going to be on Discord today? Yes. Yeah, I need 10 minutes to put my life together or so after this. Give the wife a hand, pre-prepping dinner, and then I will be on till about 4:30. 2:36. David Zintera. There's two mnemonics, one forward and one reverse. Yes. Yeah, please don't throw sausage pizza away is one direction, and people seem to need data processing is the other direction. Nada D. Greetings, Nada. Again, talking to Taran Chada. Nada, talk to Chada. Sorry, it just sounded funny in my head. And they're talking back and forth. 241, Tullowit. Oh, now I'm going to catch up. We'll need more questions, guys, but it's a good turnout today. Thank you. And again, don't forget, you can ask Scott questions. You can ask Mike questions. We'll queue them up and save them for him. Oh, here too, before I read this 241 question from Tullowit. Tullowit mentioned the Discord channel, and there's a couple new faces here. So let me tell you about Discord and how you can join us and talk to us in person, face-to-face, voice-to-voice, not just texting. Our good friend, Jose Braden, took a ball and ran with it earlier this year, late last year, I guess it was, and created what is entitled the Unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel, We don't own it. We don't run it. We don't have anything to do with it other than some of us are regular users and participants on it. It's Jose's channel, right? Non-disclaimer, everything's covered. So if you want to say something on there, it's not our fault. Say what you want. And I'm going to put up the link for that, and Scott will put up the link for that in the YouTube chat channel. Let me go over here. Oh, I didn't make a slide. I just copied the link. Okay, so Scott's going to put it up in the YouTube chat at the current time mark. It's about 2:50 Central Time right now, 10 minutes before the halfway point of the show. And so this Discord channel, I never played Discord. I knew about it, but I never played it until Jose set it up. And I said, okay, well, I guess I'll make a Discord channel or Discord account and join up. So what we've got going on over there, what Jose has is a hangout place for people who are interested in CompTIA information and all kinds of other information. It started out as mostly people from here, and I suppose that's probably still true. There's mostly people who participate in the Mike Meyers AMAs and mine and Scott's Dave Rush AMA on Fridays. We get together any time of the day or night. There's somebody always on. I know Tullowit is on all the time. I leave that page open all the time on my system. So if a message comes for me, I at least hear it if I'm not sleeping. And I don't move much from this position for 6.5 days a week. So if you send me a note or send anybody a note, that's fine. So post any kind of question on there about the AMAs, about Mike, about the things we talk about here, and go above and beyond. Hey, I'm prepping for this test. Anybody have experience in this topic or take the test? There's sub forums on there. There's a Raspberry Pi sub forum. Excuse me, losing voice. There's a Kali sub forum on there. I think there's a Linux sub forum. And of course, as like a Discord channel, there are, it's text, but then there's another subsection you can get to from the left-hand side where we get together, especially after these AMAs, where Mike or Scott or I or somebody, some others sometimes from Total Seminars will fire up a camera and a mic, and lots of people who are regulars here and regulars there do it, whether or not we're there. So Andre and Tullowit, and I don't see Zach Morrill here today. Alice is kind of bogged down, but Alice and, you know, Patricia Grace, she's on there regularly. And I apologize if I missed any of the other people here who are on there. So we get together and do voice to voice and face to face and text messaging on all kinds of different topics. So encourage you, check out Scott's link and join up on us. That link changes day to day. So if you don't already have an account, go and make one and join up. Or if you've got an account, join up today. You don't have to participate today, but at least you'll be there and a member of the group. When Jose started it up, he and myself and Tullowit and one other person, I don't remember, probably Zach, were the first 4 signups. And I looked at it today and we've got 236 people, which is bigger than a lot of subreddits. So that thing is really going gangbusters. I was on Wednesday, myself and Tullowit and Andre, a couple other people, and a new person came on, somebody who had attended Mike's Monday show. It was on Monday, if I said that wrong. And we were talking about that, and we were talking about the fact that, you know, oftentimes Mike is here, but he's obligated to something else today. He said, "What? You mean Mike Meyers comes on here? I can talk to him in person, face to face?" And I said, "Yeah, normally that would be so awesome. That would be a dream." So I called Mike and said, "Hey, Mike, could you, make a 2-minute or a 5-minute pop in and say hi to this gent?" And Mike did, and we shot the breeze. They exchanged some information to help out on some future stuff, and we will do that for you too. All right, moving on. 214. It's a program-oriented problem. My printer prints fine in other programs. Ugh. All right, well, sometimes there are printer programs that have their own printer interfaces, kind of like drivers. Guru Chaz, MCSA ended on January 31st, 2021. There is no more MCSA. Windows Server 2019 or Azure, okay. I don't see Azure as a replacement for MCSA Server. I don't even see that as a replacement. That's a huge up step. But yeah, I remember that dying. Thanks for that info, Guru. Jimmy, is PowerShell at 244? Is PowerShell a complete replacement for command prompt, or are there still things you can do in command prompt that you can't do in PowerShell? I think that anything you can do in command, you can do in PowerShell. I use both, and I'm not proficient in PowerShell, so it's fair for me to say that I use command prompt more than PowerShell. But I suspect that even if and as I become more proficient with PS, I will still use command prompt because it's so quick to get in, do the command that we need, and get out. And I think there's a little bit more overhead involved in running things on PS. But I am fairly confident, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe Michael Smyer is listening. He's very proficient in both. But I'm fairly confident that anything you can do in command, you can do in PowerShell. Plus, of course, there's a lot more that you can do in PowerShell. Mike did a PowerShell presentation in one of his AMAs. It would take me a few minutes to look up. If Scott gets time, perhaps he will look that up. It was in 2020, I'm confident. It wasn't 2021. And perhaps we can find a link for you so that you can go take, you or anybody else who's interested in PowerShell can go take a look at that. Smarticus 71, hi everyone, and hi right back to you. I speak on behalf of everyone. That's a new name for me. Tech2Farah. Welcome to Mike Meyers AMA. I am not Mike Meyers. I am Dave Rush. I work for Mike Meyers as his senior instructor and resident Raspberry Pi guru. So let's see. Hi, Mike. Do you know, is there an inexpensive voucher for CompTIA A+ exam? Why, yes, Tech, I actually do know that. Total Seminars at totalsem.com. That's not an email address. The totalsem.com website. You go there and you go to the store, you will find discount vouchers, and they're a pretty good discount. If you, I don't know what class, the A+. I think the A+ retail voucher, if you call CompTIA and buy one from them, is $278. And I'm weighing this top of my head. I may be close. I may be a little off. Thank you. I'll get that. In fact, you know what? I'm not going to make a guess and lie. At this very moment, at 2:58 Central Time, Scott Jerningan just posted in the YouTube chat a link to our discount vouchers. So if you'll take a quick peek down there, you're at 2:46. Let me run down there and look at his time mark. At time mark 2:57, right now, as I'm speaking, there is a link in the YouTube chat from Scott Jerningan to a link to our discount vouchers. We have discount vouchers for all of the CompTIA exams, at least for the big trifecta, A+, Net+, Sec+. 249, Scott says he posted. That's 10 minutes ago, dude. Now you're going to make me look at the time on my computer and the time on, no, I'm looking at the timestamp. Oh, you posted a PowerShell link at 2:57. I see. Okay. Look at 2:49. I apologize for that. Plenty of places sell discount vouchers for A+. Ours, okay, so Scott posted ours at 2:49, just 3 minutes after you did. You are way ahead of the game, Scott. And you know that. Okay, Andre will explain and clarify in Discord afterward. That sounds good. Mr. G, hey, good to see you, sir. Why is 16 gig 8x2 RAM dual channel more efficient than single channel 1x16? Sure. Man, I wish I had a couple of RAM sticks lying around. Hey, here's two. Okay, here's two. I hope you can see these. These are just clear pieces of plastic that I grabbed off of here somewhere. So let's say that you have one 16 gig RAM stick. Yeah, you can see that. And you put it in a slot. Well, that slot is one of multiple channels that are available in computers. Modern computers can support 2 channels or 4 channels, if we're not talking about enterprise level computers and servers and things like that. So when I do a read for a byte of data or for a 64-bit chunk of data, I make a call to the RAM and it sends a 64-bit chunk out one time, as long as that takes, excuse me, into the slot and into the CPU. Now, how about we have a 2-channel computer? So I have 2 RAM sticks here. Maybe that's visible. And I save the same amount of data across the 2 of them, 16 gigs worth of data. When I call to read a particular 64-bit chunk in a multi-channel operation, the system saves more data across the 2 chips. In fact, he writes to the 2 chips using channel 1 and channel 2 simultaneously. So I get double the throughput over a single channel. And the same thing happens on a read. When I call for reads, even if I'm not talking about a split bit or a split word or a split page or a split paragraph, I can, I'm reading multiple programs at the same time. Windows and Linux and Mac are all multitasking operating systems. So sometimes we're reading code and data that's on this memory module and sometimes on this. Well, when we have a dual channel system, your computer has the native ability to read data out of both of those channels simultaneously and direct them to the appropriate places in the CPU, into the caches, into the pipelines, wherever they need to go. So 3-channel, even better. 4-channel, even better. My gaming rig down on the floor underneath me and dead because of a hard drive is a 3-channel system. It's got 6 memory slots with dual 3 channels. And it's a monster. I'll put that up against anybody's dual channel system today. And of course, now if you got 4 slots and you got dual channels, then you can get 2 modules in channel 0 and 2 modules in channel 1. If you, by the way, this question comes up all the time on our support forums. If you put 1 stick in channel 0 and 1 stick in channel 1, and that's all, then you're only going to get single channel operations. So you got to read your motherboard manual to find out which order they should be populated. And you want to have same size and same specs. There's sometimes they won't work in multi-channel mode if you mismatch specs. In fact, most of the time, especially when you mismatch sizes. Smarticus71, is Mike okay? Yes, Mike is okay. He announced Monday that he wouldn't be able to make today. He had a death in the family, and they are attending memorial services and doing all of the other family things that need to be done for situations like that. Oh, Patricia Grace answered the very next question. And so did Scott. Okay. Anytime somebody asks that again, I will let you guys answer. Thank you, Smarticus. We will pass along your condolences. Discussionism official. Another new one for me. Loving it. It's that time mark, 2:49, which by amazing coincidence is when Scott posted the link to our discount vouchers. The very next post. Okay, 2:49, discussionism. Yeah, I'm pronouncing that right. Okay. Official says, hey, Dave, I'm interested in your opinion on the Fix-It toolkits recommended by Mike in Udemy videos. I am also interested in joining the Discord to be included. Thanks. So if the official Discord was posted 1 minute after you wrote your message by Scott. So click on that link at time mark 2:50 and join up. We'll be look forward to seeing and hearing from you there. The iFixit kits are wonderful. How do I go about this? If there is a problem with them, it's that there are so many with so many choices and so many, therefore, price ranges. So you got to pick a kit that does what you want to do. And that means you got 2 choices. There are kits that are designed to work on PCs. It's got a number 2 Phillips, and it's got a number one Phillips in there and a couple of other goodies that are all geared toward taking cases off and screwing in standoffs. There's little hex nut drivers in there and things like that, and coolness. Now, if you buy that kit and you want to take on the challenge of changing the battery in your fill in the blank phone, iPhone, whatever, that kit does not have the tools to do it. So now you got to get a kit that's good for Apple phones, good for Android phones, good for both kinds of phones. Or I don't want to buy 2 or 3 kits. I want to buy a nice all-inclusive kit that's good for this and a million other of my household and technical chores. So there's a lot of variety, but one of the things that I can say about them is they're quality tools. Okay? I have never broken an iFixit tool. I find them to be reasonably ergonomic. They're usable. And if you've never owned a spudger, when you buy your tablet Fix-It kit or your phone Fix-It kit, you're going to get your first spudger, which is just the coolest word in all of tooldom. All right. Hope both of those things help. So Scott at 249 and 250 posted 2 links, one for discount vouchers available at Total Sem, and the other, the link to our Discord channel. Smarticus had a great intro at 250. I had a great interview with the geographic supervisor for the field service position with Dell yesterday. Congratulations. That's wonderful. Smarticus, do this. I want you to do 2 things, if you would, for us. Send the details of that interview to Michael Meyers. I'm put his link back up here. This is for you. He wants that kind of information. It's real world, useful stuff that he can pass on to students, participants of these things, and that would really be great. And also, if you would come on to Discord after this and tell us about it, myself in particular, then I can get it kind of directly and also be able to share that in the same way. So email Mike Meyers at michaelm@totalsem.com or find him on Steam as Senor Pepe. He would love that information, and I would love that information. In fact, if you just want to do the email thing, write Mike and CC me, Dave R at totalsem.com. No spaces or periods or any of that kind of stuff. And I'm seeing back channel messages. Okay, he's got that. Front channel messages back here, passing 251. Right, that discount. Wait, the link is good. Yeah, right. Okay, we've covered that ground. Smarticus, good to see you. Did I go way back? No, okay, I didn't. And good to see you again. Okay, Sends it Seal. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Mike Meyers. Ask me anything. Ask Mike anything. I am not Mike Meyers. If this is your first time here, I am one of his employees, one of the people to be gratefully employed by him. I am a senior instructor. I teach Network Plus and A Plus and Security Plus, and I do lots of research and a limited amount of writing in the backgrounds. And I do things like this, help cover for him when he's not available. I do, I haven't done an advertisement for my own show lately, so let me do that. Mike Meyers, AMA, every Monday and Wednesday, right here on this channel at this time. Right now, 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time. When we're not on Daylight Time, it'll be Standard Time. And then Friday, in that same time period, myself and Scott Jernigan do a show that we call Dramas. Dave Rush, Ask Me Anything, and Scott. It started out as drama, and then Scott and I teamed up because he's really, really good. And we talk about Raspberry Pis, but not because we like to talk about Raspberry Pis. Yeah, that's cool. And I do really cool things with them. I teach about them and I do really cool projects with them. But our focus is how you can use Raspberry Pi computers to enhance the learning situations. That's a really poor choice of words. Learning conditions, learning opportunities, as you prepare for all kinds of tests. It doesn't even have to be CompTIA. So we've built FTP servers and Samba servers, and we've done Wireshark captures on them. And we've moved away sometimes from CompTIA, and we just do projects because they're flat out fun. We did a little bit of electronics. We've lit up LEDs, controlled them with web servers, used switches to control things. This week, I'm a little behind on my preparations, but I'm going to be ready because who needs to sleep? I'm installing the Docker system and Docker containers on Raspberry Pis. And that is not only a cool project, but it comes up in Network Plus and Security Plus, understanding the difference between emulators, simulators, virtual machines, sandboxes, and containers. So these are containers and they have relationships to some of those other things. We're going to talk about all that stuff. I go on Discord to pretend that I have friends. You don't have to pretend. You don't. Not a D252 mnemonics for syslog. I don't know enough about syslog to have known that it needs a mnemonic. I know what it is and how it works, but okay, so let's see what your mnemonic is. Every awesome Cisco engineer will need ice cream daily. Emergency 0, alert 1, and so forth and so on. All right, I'm going to have to get more into Dislog to find out what EACEWNID actually stands for and how that applies to syslog. For everybody else who doesn't know, syslog is a program that captures output of monitor programs like SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol, into a single program that you can then review either in an automated fashion or manually read over all those logs and react accordingly when you find something or when it finds something wrong. And that too is a Net Plus and Sec Plus thing. You don't have to worry about it for A+. Hey, Zach is here. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you. Hope everything is going well. Okay, reading messages, passing 254. Andre will pretend to be Tullowitz friends. The three of you guys are pretty darn tight. I'm really enjoying that. Dan Richards is here. Welcome, Dan. I think you have been here before, but I don't recall directly interacting with you. Hey, by the way, there's a lot of you folks here who come to Mike's Monday, Wednesday shows and don't come to Dave and Scott's Friday shows. This would be a good week to change that. I'd like to see a little bit more elevated participation. And, you know, I got it when I got Dr. Upton on, the founder of Raspberry Pi and designer of it, and a million other things. So if that's what it takes, then I'll reach out and get some other really cool industry executive. But hoping to pique your interest in these things. How do you get a $35 computer and run a web server and an FTP server on it? Hey, I didn't mention this. There's my own little link to put up for you. I have my web server turned on right now. We've built a web server here, and it has, as of last night, the first 15 of our 35 or so drama archives on it. So the main page, the home page, has been updated. There's a link at the bottom that takes you to the downloads page. The downloads page has these 15 archives. And what I did is I went into each of my presentations and took my notes and my slides and my PDFs and my links and cleaned them up a little bit and then saved them as a zip file, put them in a download area, and made a downloadable link. So if you want to see everything that I used when we made the, not if you want to see it, if you want to have it. So we did the how to light an LED with a web server. So you might have seen that on the live stream on Drama or in the archive, but you don't have those slides. You don't have my notes. You don't have my step-by-steps. Well, you can have them now. If you want to go to, hang on, let me type this thing in, : pi r square, the letter R, .zapto, zapto, .org. Okay, I just posted that link at the current time mark of 3:15 my local time. You can just open up a tab, go in there. I'll leave it running through the rest of the day. I'll shut it down tonight because that's overnight is when more of the hackers come, and I just don't have it secure enough to leave it run 24 hours a day yet. But it will always be open whenever I'm doing a presentation and I'll make that a policy to keep it open for the rest of that day. Go and check it out. It's kind of wonky looking. I'm just still in the earliest stages of setting it up, but yesterday, late last night, I decided to at least make it useful and functional and get some stuff on there that's not just experimental. It will. It's got an HTTPS connection. You can go to it as just PIR, zapster.org. It'll redirect to HTTPS. So cool stuff. All right. Catching up on questions. We got 45 more minutes and I'm doing okay. Staying near the end. Deepak, I know that you know the answer to this. I think that you're asking me a question at 2:56 that you know the answer, but you're throwing it out so other people will benefit from the information. And somebody asked a very similar question to this on Mike's Monday show 2 days ago. So I'm not going to go real deep into this thing, but Deepak asks at 2:56, is a packet the same as a frame? No, is certainly the short answer. And at each layer of the OSI model, mostly, the data that lives there, the data that's generated there, the data that's added to other data there, has its own label. So layer 2, the data that exists there is called a frame. Up at layer 3, the data that exists there at the network layer is called a packet. And then above that, I'm showing myself frozen. Okay, I'm all right. Just a hiccup. And then above that, at the transport layer, there's one of two layers. It's either called a datagram or it's called a segment. So let's do frames and packets real quickly. The way to do it, since we'll take it as data flowing down. The process of encapsulation says we start with some application data, and then it moves down to the transport layer where it gets a header, either a user datagram protocol header, or I'm watching Michael on the back channel. He's communicating. I'm watching, so I can't make any mistakes here. All right, data moves down from the application layer to the transport layer where it gets some information put in front of it. It's either user datagram protocol information, we call that a header, or it gets a TCP header that has acknowledgments and sequence numbers and segment numbers and things like that. So that's why we call this a segment. Then it moves down to the IP layer, to the network layer. And the network layer is where it gets another header that has IP address information and IP handling information. The destination IP address, the destination source address, there's checksums information in there. There is, excuse me, priority flags. There's all kinds of stuff in there. But now this whole assembly is called a packet. And then the packet moves down into layer 2, the data link layer, and it gets 4 or so, depending on the version of Ethernet that we're playing with, fields in a header. It gets a destination MAC address, something on the local area network, a source address, a type field, a type field is what kind of layer should this thing be passed up to? IP layer, local talk layer, there's a layer 3, the layer that's ping, not IDSP. Somebody come up with it, but whatever. There's a type that says where the data came from and therefore what layer, what common layer should it go back to. And then there's another field in there I'm not going to get into now. And then at the very end of it, there is a code number that gets generated based on all of the information up here. And then that gets appended to the end. So when this thing traverses a cable, goes into a network interface card, that network interface card looks at all of that same inbound data and runs the same algorithm program on there to generate what should be the same number as is at the end of this frame. And it compares the two. And if they match, he says, hey, that was a good transmission. It wasn't scrambled. It didn't get damaged in any way. So I will accept that frame. And he strips off the framing information. So now all we've got left is the packet, and that gets passed up to the network layer. and the network layer checks out all the IP header stuff and makes sure that it's valid. And if he's happy with it, he says, did this come from a datagram or did this come from a TCP layer? And once he comes up with that decision, he strips off the packet information, and now it's a datagram or a segment, and it gets passed up to UDP or TCP, and it just keeps working like that. So no, packets live at network layer, frames live at data link layer. Man, I'm not going to be able to talk again after this. PowerShell, same as command, but much more advanced. Yeah, I would agree with you, Maven Feliciano. I love your name. Oh man, I super scrolled. Oh, by the way, if you're sending messages to me today, I'm logged in as my account, so send it to drush. I don't know what the heck my name is on here. I'm either Dave R or drush. Somebody sent me a message down there, David Rush. But don't send it to Total Seminars. Okay, yeah, it's at David Rush. That's who I am today. Going back to, okay, I'm at 257. There's a PowerShell link that Scott posted at 257. Kareem Martin, or Martine. Zap2 link isn't working. Did I typo it? Stand by. I must test that. I want you to be able to access it. R-square zap2.org. Clear this, HTTPS. It's working, so I may have typoed it as I put it in. So it's PIR square, all one word, PIRSQUARE.ZAPTO.org. Not squared. It's not plural, Scott. Here, I'll put it in the. All right, I put that in the back channel. Scott can repost that. PIRsquare.zapto.org. Sorry, I may have typoed that. It would not be my first. That's why Scott's an editor. Everything I do, I read it and edit it a day later when I've had a chance to stew on it. And then I give it to Scott because he edits everything we do. And it just comes back. It looks like somebody's poured a bucket of red paint on it. I fancy myself a writer, but I'm wrong. Will those vouchers work if exam is scheduled from India? We don't have marvelously clear answers on the way things are working now with OnView. And I'm going to take that as a question, Tarun. I don't have the answer, and I don't have the wherewithal to research it right now. Scott may take a whack at it, but I think it's going to take a good bit of research. So I'm going to contact Pearson VUE directly as quickly as humanly possible. I have a high workload like everybody else, but I'm going to see if I can get a handle on who can take what with any kind of voucher anywhere in the world, since you can do home-based testing. But I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for you at this time. If anybody else does, if anybody's done something, we know a lot of the European countries have testing centers. We know India has testing centers, but I don't know if you can use vouchers from out of the country to do that. Hey, Scott Jernigan, no, Tarun, international vouchers are different. Contact Kathy. Well, that killed a minute and a half, didn't it? Do most modern client servers use ECC RAM? Yes. Okay, you got some terms here. Client servers. I don't know what a client server is. I know what a client is. I know what a server is. So I'm going to answer the question with the part that I know. Most servers do, in fact, use ECC RAM. And most non-servers, unless they're very specialized, like super specialized clients, do not use ECC RAM. And the two cannot be used in place of each other, even if they have the same number of pins. The pins are used differently. The best you can hope for if you put an incompatible RAM type in a slot is that it won't work. The worst situation is it will destroy the RAM, and it may damage or destroy the motherboard. Mirrored or striped? Pajamas, I like mirrored. I wear shiny, mirrored, not what you're asking. What are your goals? If you need a big hard drive that's bigger than a single hard drive, I got a 4 terabyte hard drive, but the data that I need to store on a single drive takes up 7 terabytes. Okay, you're going to stripe. Now, if that data is critical, first of all, backup is always critical, whether or not you're using RAID. But if it's real-time critical, then I'm going to do a RAID 10 or RAID 01. But striped, that's what you need in order to take the size of multiple independent hard drives and make them operate like one much larger hard drive. You can stripe as many drives as your controller can support. Mirrored, if I've only got 2 drives and I can't tolerate downtime. Remember, RAID is not a substitute for backup. RAID exists to provide either capacity, performance, or reliability, or some combination of those things, but it doesn't provide backup. It's, all I got to do is have a catastrophe right here where my RAID array is, and everything's gone. So, but if I can't tolerate downtime, then mirrored is a very good choice. If you got more than 2 drives, then you want to be looking at RAID 5 or RAID 10 or RAID 01. Noctis interfector. I'm not sure that I should have said that out loud. I know what Noctis means. I don't know what interfector means, and I won't say that word again. But I'm going to look it up when I'm done. Copy, paste, here, bump, bump. All right, this is at 3:02. How am I doing on time? I'm 26 minutes behind. Got to catch up. Good afternoon, everyone. Does anyone have a link to the unofficial Total Seminars Discord? And Scott posted it immediately after your post at 3:03. So we will see you there. I'll be there 10 or 15 minutes after the AMA. I don't know if Scott's going to make it. We know Mike can't make it today. Sorry about that. Discussionism. Can you blame discussion? Majdi, do we use DB9 connector to configure a router? Not in 2021. If you got an older router, yeah. So the DB9 connector is a serial connector. We still use a serial connection, but we use a USB to serial port, or a USB to an RJ45 type connector, but it's actually still a serial port. It's not an Ethernet port. So yeah, older boxes had DB9 serial ports. Modern ones, you can configure it either with a dedicated console port, or some of them you can use any of the switch ports. Just call into it using TCP/IP, using a browser or SSH or something like that with the IP address of the router in question. Spudger, darn right, it's the best word ever. Discussion. I used to detail vehicles myself. I'm familiar with getting right in. Yeah, very good. 307 for Jimmy. Totally with 307 is talking to Scott. 307, Patricia, I'll look into that, Frank, okay? Maven says at 307, I'll try to put a pic of my Fix-It toolkit. Okay, yeah, do that. I know Maven is a regular on Discord, so come on over to Discord, take a look at his iFixit. We have an iFixit at the office that's a general purpose toolkit, and I cannot tell you where it is. People grab that thing and hoard it like it's gold. Search for the Dave Rush on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm on there. Moving on. 309, Dave and Scott are Siegfried and Roy of Tech. No. Lots of reasons why that statement is so far wrong, not the least of which is I believe both of them have now passed away. Docker is one of the Linux categories, says Zintera, David Zintera. Okay. Oh, man. Reading Scott's line at 3:12. Lots of back and forth. Okay. Oh, wait. HTTPS whack whack pi r square at zapto.org. That looks like it should have worked. Oh, I got a double colon. That's where I typoed mine. I'm going to delete that because I can. And Scott has reposted it. Okay. And you went all Aussie. Andre, where can I get a shirt like that, Dave? I don't know if we sell these in the company store. They certainly get them for us. I wear them whenever I do stand-up training. I got a variety of colors of them. Maven, David Rush, I had an extra colon. Yes, thanks for the catch. And we all know, sorry, I scrolled. 1 colon is enough for any one person. I swear that's a Tullowit line if ever there was one. Good Lord. Strip off the local host. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't going to get into the details of stripping off the MAC addresses, the frame when we have to pass through routers and things like that. That's way beyond what I want to do here today, especially when I'm a little bit behind. You will know you are at Dave Rush's page when you see the disco ball. It's true. But under the disco ball is the link to the new downloads page, which is not neat and it's not cool. I have plans for it. It's going to be tabular and be all that, but I got to relearn how to write PHP. That's not true. I know how to write HTML and I barely scratched the surface on writing PHP, and I don't know how to use WordPress. So I'm handwriting every stitch of code on that page. My kit is called I Broke It. Now I got to fix it. Scott's going to send an email to you. Mike and Dave needs help with something. Sure. Send it to any of us. Send it to all of us. Wow, I got to the end of questiones and we had a half an hour to go, which gives me a couple of options. I could shut down. And I'm not averse to doing that. If you guys have dried up, you've asked all the questions that you want to ask, feel free. But if you got more, now is the time to do that. Scott and I, when we took over for Mike last year while he was on his travel trip around the west side of the U.S., we had this really kind of cool thing worked out. We did it for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, I think, maybe longer. And so we built a series of little featurettes that we would do. And it was all about where MAC addresses come from and how data is actually moved across wires in an Ethernet environment and what happens inside a switch. We have this very broad presentation and broad understanding in the world that the switch is a black box. It's a magic box. Data goes into it, and there is this broad misconception, and we promulgate it sometimes, that, let's say you've got switch port A and switch port G, and the host hooked up to A wants to send data to the host that's connected to B. And so it's often taught that inside the switch, what happens is electronically A and G get wired together for the microseconds that are necessary to move that frame, and then it gets disconnected. Well, that might have been true when switches first came out in the late 80s, somewhere thereabouts. But that's not the way it works. It hasn't worked like that for a long time. So I got a presentation on that. If you guys don't want to, if you don't have any more questions or anything like that, I could break that thing out. Scott, on the other hand, had this plan that when he and I were going to talk together and work together today, had his voice not gone south, we were going to talk about hardware that's good and bad in a gaming rig. He and Mike got together and did a great long discussion about the characteristics of monitors and monitor usage in general. If you're using it for, just your desktop, I'm not doing anything special on my computer, all the way to what are the best characteristics about monitors that I need if I'm going to do gaming. What are the best interfaces? Hey, I see Scott has joined the party. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
I'm good. You sound a little better than you did this morning.
Yeah. Nothing like drinking lots of lemon water helps with the
by
pollen.
by amazing coincidence,
Yeah.
this and some antihistamine pill that the wife takes that she dumped off on me. I'm feeling good.
Excellent. Excellent.
Hey, what brings you on board?
I popped on because the questions ran out, and I'm like, oh, I should come in and say hi.
That'd be
So,
great.
and I also, I'm just for those of you with March Madness kind of things, I'm wearing the colors. Oh yeah,
You
my
can't see.
alma
You have to
mater,
drop your camera just a bit so they can see the. There we go.
University of Houston. Yeah,
One of Scott's
so,
alma maters.
one of them. Yes, indeed.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're playing this Saturday. In fact, they're playing the very, I think, latest game of the day, unless there's a West Coast game after that. So that's the biggie.
Yeah, should be hopefully entertaining and with the right outcome.
Yeah, of
Just
course. My team made it through 2 rounds and got killed.
cool.
Ben's team made it the same. One of Ben's teams, my son, he did 2 years
Texas Tech.
at one school and they're out. He's done another year at this school. They're out now. All of our alma maters except UH, my missus.
Yep. No, so we're still in, man.
Yep. So that's awesome and exciting. And
Going all the way.
if you look at the rankings, they look good. The rival is number 11. They're number what, 2, I think.
Yeah, they look good. We haven't had a team this good since Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 96 if I
Clyde
remember the
Drexler
numbers
from
right.
Slam Majama back decades ago at this point.
Right. And so what do we got here right now? We've got 30 or 40 people watching. For the 5 people who follow college basketball, that's awesome. All right, we'll tell you what, a couple questions.
Let's talk about technology instead.
Yeah, so a couple questions have come up. We'll hit that, and then if we could talk about the gaming stuff you had in mind.
Sure, sounds great.
Dimensionalism handwriting code. I was thinking about taking that route with my A+ prep, since I'll also be doing practical work as part of my study. I like graph people. Yes, you should basically write the entire A+ book, rewrite it. Don't take notes. Don't highlight the important stuff. Read it, write it, and then reread your notes, and then watch the video lectures.
Or if you're Patricia Grace, you should just rewrite it in Python, and then it's perfect.
Be like.
Andre
says tea with honey.
Question, so
yep.
They're on the wrong screen.
I'm on the wrong screen.
Yeah, so you'll have to read.
Andre advises tea with honey, and I got to tell you, I've done tea with honey twice in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
And I got a jar of honey that's getting really old, so the bottom of it is kind of solidified. The nice thing is, honey lasts literally for hundreds of years.
Right.
But it solidifies. So what you have to do is put it in warm or hot water and get it heated up, and it decrystallizes. And that was this morning's project. I kept changing out warm water, and now it runs, and I'm ready for more hot tea with honey and lemon, because we're Americans.
Awesome.
Because we're idiots, right? You take tea in and of itself is good, and then you sweeten it with sugar, and then you bitterize it with lemon.
It's like the perfect concoction, though, Dave. Come on. So I was doing a lot of because I really want to upgrade my current rig, because I just had my beautiful 24-inch Dell IPS monitor die like a couple of days ago.
You did.
It was just that moment of sadness when a prized and true friend has gone away. So I replaced it with a 27-inch gaming monitor, and wow, am I disappointed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's a lovely MSI gaming monitor that I got from Newegg, and I was using it as my monitor for my Linux system. Right? No big deal. Never noticed its quirks because it was on a unique system and not on my main system. But now I'm looking at this lovely 27-inch monitor that's only 1080p. First world problem. I get it. But the difference between an IPS panel and a twisted pneumatic panel is so stunning.
Oh, the new one is a TN, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a gaming monitor, right? So TN is faster than IPS. That's just the way it works. And when we're talking about frame rates and updating, and it's frag time, and it's like, I've got to have that one extra frame per second because otherwise I'm dead and you're not. Yeah. So frame rate matters.
Frame rate matters.
But wow, just looking at it from a production standpoint and suddenly trying to do video and graphics and stuff on it. Oh my gosh. I had forgotten the radical difference between IPS and TN. Just the color depth, the saturation, the beautiful blackness of IPS. Wow, dramatic difference. So then I went.
You went to the store.
Sure, because that's the next step, right? It's like one cannot have substandard tools, and went to Newegg and struck out. So then I went straight to Dell, because if I'm going to replace a Dell monitor, I might as well just go to Dell and make it happen. And they have absolutely stunning 32-inch IPS 4K monitors. So there's a whole bunch of numbers and stuff in there that matter, right? So the IPS part, the in-plane switching, matters as far as just saturation and color depth and viewing angle, but the resolution, the 4K. So I'm looking at a 27-inch monitor that's only 1080p, right? And so that means it's only a certain resolution on a fairly big sized monitor, where you take the same size monitor, one that's just slightly bigger, and quadruple the resolution.
That's awesome.
Then it becomes this like beautiful, magnificent screen. And they were on sale for the low price of
$500.
I wish.
Really?
1,000.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I didn't impulse buy because I can't. It's hard to justify when you have two functioning giant monitors. Yeah. Just impulse buying a third one. I'm like, but I was thinking about, in terms of, because we had talked about this on Monday when Mike said he wasn't going to be able to do the AMA, about some of the gaming stuff, and was thinking about monitors, because of course the thing that you will interact with the most ever in your computing life is your monitor. Maybe a keyboard, but right. Yeah. But the monitor is the thing that's going to be like there, sticking in your face for a very long time. And if you stint on the monitor, then
it doesn't matter about the rest.
It really doesn't. Yeah. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're dead on, and I'm very sorry to hear that your TN was disappointing. And so it becomes a tool at that point instead of a luxury, I suppose. Right. And what are you using for interface? Are you DP or HDMI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, one DP, multiple monitors on the same graphics card. One is connected via HDMI, and the other one's connected via DisplayPort.
Okay.
So,
do you see us going all DisplayPort, or something newer, better coming along before that happens?
secretly, I'm an Apple fanboy,
Well,
right? And
okay.
so Thunderbolt is there. It uses the same connection, the USB-C connection, but it's DisplayPort as well. I think eventually the PC people will jump and embrace Thunderbolt. Um, so yeah, I'm going beyond.
And here's why I don't.
Okay.
For the same reason that you never saw Firewire 800 on PC because of
True.
the licensing.
True. Licensing and money. Yep.
Yeah. Well, cool. So let's say you got an awesome monitor.
Okay.
What's the most important component next? CPU, RAM, fast storage, gaming mouse, gaming keyboard?
Okay. I'm going to go with mass storage. I know RAM is the sexier answer, but mass storage is surprisingly impactful as far as when I load a game on that's installed on my NVMe drive as opposed to my SSD, as opposed to my HDD, as opposed to my external HDD, because yeah, all those things exist. But the difference in performance is dramatic, especially in the initial impact of performance. So what gives me the best joy for my moment, right? And I click on the game and I'm like, I want to play this now.
Yeah.
Right. And when I click on it and it's on the NVMe, it's up, it's running. I'm there. I'm gaming within a couple of seconds. I'm playing Counter-Strike. Life is good. When I click on Civilization, on the other hand, which is actually all the way on an HDD, then I sit there and wait. And I wait. I go get a cup of coffee. I'm going to seriously walk away from my computer, waiting for my gaming experience to happen. So, yeah, I'd say mass storage is huge.
Bueno. Hey, let me hit a couple of questions to get caught up here, and then we'll do some more.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Sorry.
No. It's a great topic, and I want to hear more. You're a lot more experienced in this than I am, and a lot more breadth of games in your background. It's just worthy of mentioning that Tullowitz says UH is University of Hawaii, and that's one of his alma maters, to which I would ask, no. It's nothing down.
Wait.
I just want to know if when people ask him where he went to school, if he says, and gets it right.
No, it's this. It's the Coug. Okay. The University of Houston, our mascot is a cougar. And some horrible time in the past, the cougar got her claw caught in the door and got it amputated. So sad. But yeah, that's the University of Houston. Go Cougs.
And it's really funny because that was, first of all, done as an insult by a rival team. They would put this up but it got adopted. And then every other notable Texas school has since created some kind of one-handed finger symbol that it's become their rallying thing.
Right.
And then, of course, all of them have the same return one to them that involves one finger.
Which we can't do on a family show, but it's all good.
Which is something I wanted to mention about Discord. If and when you join us on Discord, it's a little different than here. Okay, we've got some fairly rigorous protocols that we follow and how we communicate with you.
True.
Things are a little looser there. Not saying we get a little looser, but others do. So you're welcome to come and be yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And whereas on the Total Seminars official channel, we talk about CompTIA certifications, we talk about technology in general, we eschew politics and religion because those are contentious topics. Discord, we go there.
Not so much. At 342, Tullowitz said in Discord, Fan of Steel asked for a newbie, what tips would you give to building a PC? Huh. I'm going to answer that in Discord because that'll finish up our time here and do a whole another 2 hours, right?
I was about to say that's about an hour-long conversation here.
Get the best you can afford, equipment-wise. Yeah, everybody's kicked in with similar answers. Maven, I'm trying to get away from Apple. You can't. You know, once they've got their hooks in you. Good luck though. Go Linux. I'll say if you do that, the core of Apple is Unix. It's not even Linux. It's way back older.
True.
Okay, that answered all the questions. We're caught up. I was thinking that too. Okay, yeah. As soon as we mention how less than PC it is, Tullowit takes the shot at Zach. I'm looking at you. There are some people on the forum who are a little freer with language than others.
Zach has been known to use some salty language, yes.
Yep, but everybody there is a good person. And look, it's such a smart group. You know, if Scott or I or Mike isn't there, fine. There are some wonderful, knowledgeable, intelligent people. Throw a question out and you're going to get answers. Most of them right. You know, unless they're from Tullowit. The core of Apple is Unix, not Linux, but yes, core joke there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know we've beaten up in the past video cards to death for gaming.
Okay.
And we have certainly beaten up over time how tough they are to get right now.
Right? I mean, that's the part that's just killing me. It's like I can't upgrade. And it's driving me crazy.
And there is no relief in the near-term future set up. The factories are shut down because of national shutdowns and just employees who can't come in because of a variety of restrictions. So I'm watching this ripple effect across every industry. Not only do we not get video cards, we're seeing motherboard production reduce. 2 major car companies have shut down massive lines of products because they can't get chips for the various computers that run their vehicles. And it's not going to get better before it gets worse. We got more downside to go until, you know, we get a notable percentage of the population develop herd immunity or get vaccinated or whatever the solution is.
I just got an email from a car company you've never heard of that I'm going to go ahead and can I say pimp? We'll just say pump. We'll just say
Arcimoto here.
Yeah, we'll just say like a state on this. A company called Arcimoto. It's a company out of Oregon that makes a 3-wheeled electric vehicle called a FUV, for a fun utility vehicle. So Arcimoto.com, they just announced today that they are laying the groundwork for their first giant factory where they can produce something like 20,000 plus vehicles a year. So
that's awesome news.
Something I've been following for years now. Arcimoto.com. Check it out.
It's very cool. I have been in a theoretical line like Scott for years to purchase a car that you've never heard of. It's a 3-wheeler, 2 in front, 1 in the back. It looks like it's never going to get produced. And so the support sites that surround that talk about ones that are getting produced.
Right.
And Arcimoto is by far and away the #1 referenced other vehicle. They've shipped some units and it's exciting.
Yeah.
And if and when Scott and I ever do get our weird, unusual vehicles, and when COVID is done, and he and I are going to jump in them and drive to San Diego and hopefully get some more people along the way for Comic-Con. Comic-Con in the weird cars. Oh, a little more than 5 minutes. A few more questions have popped up. Right. Zach uses things language. Silica storage.
Reliant Robin. Wow, Zach.
I'm not going over there yet. Yeah, so that's the problem, of course, with silicon and silicon. Silicon. Of course, we got plenty of sand. We're not running out of that. Andre says, person in management position, pimp.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see. Dan Richards says to Andre, never ever seen such a professional title. Yeah, you see them on business cards. I put pimp on my business cards, but then I have to talk with the police for a while every time.
Yeah.
Hey, we do a discount for cops here. What is this pimp thing?
Oh, speaking of discounts, right?
Yes. Time to repost that, huh? Yeah, we got time. You handle things here, and I'm going to do a big slide.
Okay, sounds good. I am going to post. So just because you're here and hanging out at the AMA with us, and normally, of course, this is Mike's AMA on Wednesdays, but Dave and I are filling it in while he's got a family thing. But just because you're here, we have specials, and this week's AMA specific special just for you is 50% off all of our bundles, period. So that's everything, right? It's the total tester plus total sims plus total video, if you are so inclined. And that includes all of our products. So not just CompTIA A plus, Security plus, Net plus, but let's just go all the way up. CYSA plus, Pentest plus, the whole works. So the code this week is stamp 1765. Just do that at totalsim.com and you'll get 50% off on all of our bundles.
Right. And codes are funny. If Scott goes and gets a code, it's one thing. If I go and get a code, it's a different thing. And they both work. Oh, I could have done this.
On Discord, you mean?
Yeah. Almost there. File, save as.
Are you doing it?
Yeah, be up
Post
in
to Discord.
veritable seconds.
So yeah, in about 2 or 3 minutes, we will jump from here to the unofficial Total Seminars channel, Discord channel, which is not affiliated with us at Total Seminars, but instead is hosted by our friend Jose Braden, and is a great place to hang out and chat with fellow techs and learners live. So anyway, hope to see you there.
This code is a little different than the one that Scott just posted. It works, and I just stick it up. You can check it out in the archive or freeze frame here and catch it there. But Scott posted the link, so he's good to go.
We're all good.
All right,
Dave, I'm gonna check out.
Okay, yeah, we got about 2 minutes to shut down. So I will see you on Discord,
Okay.
which is nice. I get to see you because you don't have a publisher meeting right after.
I do not.
Like our drama.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, no publisher until Friday, who's gonna then kick
Pummel
my
you?
butt about Network Plus. But yeah, okay, it's all good.
Hey, look, I no, pummel or not, every day I hear, I see, and I even participate in prepping for a new Network Plus.
Yeah.
We can't give any details about it yet, of course.
No
I
details.
tell you,
We're still under
we are
NDA.
excited. Okay,
It's gonna be cool.
take the current one. Always take the current one. It's a known quantity. Yeah. But when the current one drops off and new people are forced to go to the new one, wow.
It's going to be awesome.
I'm just eating up the good stuff.
Yep. All right, man. Good show today.
I'll see you in a little bit.
I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to look at the rest of the couple of questions here, close things out for a minute or so. Are you talking about Reliant Robin? No, I am not. Pimp with a Y. That's lovely. Okay, stopping, Patricia Grace. Well done. Hey, well, it's been a great session. Apologies that Mike couldn't be here. I will pass along his condolences for his family loss to all of you. He misses you, be sure. These kind of events are very busy and very dragging on one emotionally. Excuse me. So I too have passed along my condolences. Everybody's very welcome. Thank you for coming here to Mike's shows, to my shows. Scott's, and yeah, let's get over this darn pandemic thing sooner than later. My show, Friday this week, 2:00 Central Daylight Savings Time. We're going to install Docker and Docker containers on a Raspberry Pi. And until then, I will see you all in the Ethernet, right? All right. Take care, everybody. Good night.